making our sense of the world. To make sense of the world. World peace through our sense of the world. Oh, at least it's working. World peace through individual strength. Waking the globe up physically, spiritually, mentally, and physically again. Feel great and to feel good objectively. On your only no-nonsense podcast through the Best Feeling Network. Good morning, this is Pal Go On. Good morning. It is 5:32 a.m. on Freedom Friday, July 16, 2012. I hope you're feeling amazing this morning. I hope you're able to feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all of the times. Remember to feel the front of your shins. And then are you asking yourself, say it with me, I do not sit on my legs. No, I do not sit on my legs. It is Freedom Fridays, guys. Today we talk about how beauty is neutral. What do you mean? I'm your host, Herbie, and this is Pal Go On. Good morning! Are we remembering to allow these words to go in one ear and out the other? Say it with me. In one ear and out the other. One more time, say it with me. In one ear and out the other. One more time, just because I like messing with you. In one ear and out the other. I hope you're having a fantastic morning. What are we about here on Pal Go On? We're about a feeling better than sex. What do you mean better than sex, Herbie? As in a feeling that's always with you from within. You don't need nobody else, and it will never go away, and it gets better and better throughout the days, not worse and worse. As in your ability to spread your awareness and make your body feel so good. As in you can choose what you place your awareness on. Is that not true? On Freedom Fridays, can anyone take that away from you, what you place your awareness on? How does that feel for you talking about that? Can anybody tell you what to place your awareness on? And when they do, does that not feel like they are doing something dastardly to you? Are they not taking something very valuable to you? Something feeling like freedom when they force your attention away from something. For example, what are you up to right now? Doesn't it feel good to be aware of what you're up to right now? What are you up to right now? Are you walking around the room? Are you pacing around the room? Are you doing backflips? Are you cleaning the dishes? Are you using us in the background while you clean the room maybe, which is sometimes a great use of this podcast? Are you doing homework right now? Are you watching the kids? Are you dropping the kids off? Which one is it? What are you up to? Doesn't it feel so good to be aware of that? To allow your awareness to shift to this? To stretch our awareness. Stretch our awareness, our self-awareness like a muscle this morning, guys. Isn't it our superpower to decide where we place our awareness? It just so happens that our body is so superpowered. You amazing superpowered body. You amazing godlike creature. You beautiful creature. You amazing godlike creature. You have this window and relationship to this thing that you call happiness and music. And you have this relationship with the world. And you have a relationship with yourself. And you have this relationship with art. And you have this relationship with food. And you create all these relationships. You amazing beautiful creature. You create all these metaphors and connections and beauty. Out of your head, you beautiful creature, you. Isn't that true? So our bodies are so freaking strong and so literal. They're so strong. It can do whatever it wants. Meaning wherever you place your awareness of your body, it actually ends up placing your body's whole weight there. How does it work that we can walk? How does it work that we can snowboard? How does it work that we can surf? Are we thinking about every individual motion in our body, every individual micro motion in our body? Are we thinking like, yeah, to take a step, I gotta put my left foot about 5 inches in front of my right foot. That's not a very big step. I gotta put my left foot like 4 feet in front of my right foot. That's a big step. And then I'm gonna watch my foot land, and then I'm gonna watch my heel hit the ground first, and then after that the balls of my toes, and then after that the front of my shins. Like, we don't think about the world that way, right? No, our bodies are so smart. Our brains are so smart. Our bodies are so smart. So smart that what? So smart our bodies are that they do whatever you want them to do without thinking about it the way that we think about words. We don't think about them linearly with words of like, oh, I'm gonna move my body this way, but rather an entire cloud of intention, an entire vibe of intention your body embodies. And you simply place your awareness on different things and your body knows what to do. Is that not true? So what if through the best feeling network, the only network that puts the human at the center, the only translator of the universe at the center, the real translator of the universe, the one with the word, right? At the center. In the best feeling network, we know that you could just place your awareness on whatever and your body just does that thing. It just does what it needs to do. Isn't that so crazy? How you just think about walking and you start walking. You're not like thinking about, I'm gonna put my right foot there. When you're rocking back back and forth in the chair, using your legs to deliver weight into the floor and then shifting your balance, or changing the awareness from your shoulders down to your hip joints so that you can like create this like a torque in the chair to enable the chair to move. You're not thinking about, oh, I'm going to torque my right hip joint 45 degrees to the left and my shoulder to the right. You're not thinking those things. It's an overall intention and awareness of wanting to do something, right? Of wanting to twist the body, of wanting to create an outward expression of twisting this chair. Your body used all of its micro movements with its own bodies to create an overall balance that the chair would move. Your body does this non-linear, gigantic piece of information. Your position is changing, your posture changing. It's so hard to describe with language, yet your body does it instantly, right? What is it doing? It's aligning its awareness with an intention. So your awareness is that you want to align your chair to be moving a certain way. Your body just knows what to do, right? Our bodies just these amazing things. They just do their things on their own, right? They just do things on their own. So we have this superpower of awareness, right? No one can take that away from you. So if you want to place that weight of the body on the front of the spine, why is it important that our bodies just do these things without us asking, right? Why is it important that we can walk without us asking? Why is it important that we can balance ourselves on a board without really thinking about it in language? Why is it important that we can walk to the door, open the door, and we don't think about moving? We don't think about how to move our feet to get there, but rather we just go over. We put the awareness of our intention of opening the door in our brains, and our bodies just know how to coordinate to that. Why is that important? We're going to discuss why freedom looks like neutrality. And beauty looks like neutrality. They don't want you to think that beauty looks like neutrality because neutrality is boring, right? Neutrality is not boring because the world itself is chaotic already. We're the freaking chaotic ones too. Is never we can't understand anything. For us to be neutral for human beings is the best possible way to experience this life, as the entire life itself is always chaotic. It's the best we can do to be neutral in all of it. Beauty is neutral. What do you mean beauty is neutral, Herbie? What do you mean beauty is neutral? Isn't that boring? Isn't that boring that beauty is neutral? What do you mean beauty is neutral? We're asking ourselves that. I'd like to leave you with that question before we go on a quick break. We'll be back in a couple minutes. What do you mean beauty is neutral, Herbie? Isn't that boring? Now you're asking yourself that. Say it with me. What do you mean beauty is neutral? Say it with me. Isn't that boring? Say it with me. What do you mean beauty is neutral? Say it with me. And isn't that boring? What do you mean beauty is neutral? Isn't that boring? I want you to feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all of the times. And feel the front of the shins. Remember that you do not sit on your legs. We will be back right here on Pal Go On. using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. World peace through individual strength. Waking up the globe! Individually. Communally. Physically, mentally, spiritually, and then physically again. Why? So that we can feel better. Better objectively. Whoa. Your only no nonsense podcast, brought to you how? Brought to you through the Best Feeling Network. Your morning would feel so good on Go On. I'm your host, Herbie. Good morning. It is 5:44 a.m. I hope you're remembering to allow these words enter one ear and then out through the other, and then observing your sense of self as that happens. Through the Best Feeling Network, recognizing that you are the center focal point of this universe. Not your ego, but you, for your experience, is a focal point of this universe. And look at how your awareness is a superpower. As you're allowing these words to enter one ear and out the other, how does your awareness, how does your sense of self feel as you do that? Sense of self as in what? As in how your left hand feels different than your right arm, right? Why do you know that? How do you know that your left leg feels different than your right? Isn't that a sense of self? How your body feels when you get off the right side of the bed versus the wrong side of the bed. How do you know that? Is that not a sense of self? Here with Go On, we recognize your sense of self. And that this awareness of yours is that superpower, your ability to place your weight of the body anywhere. Simply think about placing the weight of the body down in front of the spine, and just like you think about walking over and opening the door, you don't think about all the individual steps, but your body knows that it wants to place the weight of the body down in front of the spine, and it has the ability to. It is designed to. It just needs a little reminder. Reminder that you do not sit on your legs. Reminder that you need to feel in front of your shins, not the back of your calves. Reminder that your hip joints are anatomical middle, and that you do not sit on your legs. And you don't have a waist. There's all sorts of things. All sorts of haphazard mishaps that we got through culture and all sorts of things. And we're breaking them down this morning. We're waking us up physically, mentally, spiritually, and then physically again. So as we stretch our self-awareness like a muscle this morning, I'm thinking about how we are one part of this gigantic world, and this gigantic world is all experiencing, or has all experienced, the same day at some point. Friday, July 16th, 2021. Welcome. Good morning. It is 5:46 a.m. Freedom Fridays. Today we talk about, what do you mean beauty is neutral? Isn't that boring? What do you mean? What do you mean freedom is or what do you mean beauty is neutral? What do you mean freedom is neutral? And isn't that boring? What do you mean freedom? What do you mean beauty is neutral on Freedom Fridays? We want to feel free on Freedom Fridays. We want to look at life in a loving way on Freedom Fridays. We want to feel great. We want to look at beauty on Freedom Fridays. We want to look at art on Freedom Fridays, because doesn't art make you feel free? Doesn't music make you feel free? Doesn't art make you feel free? Doesn't beauty make you feel free? What do you mean beauty is neutral? How could beauty be neutral? Aren't we always searching for it? What do you mean beauty is neutral? Doesn't it have to be something that is emotional, that is biased, that feels good necessarily, not just neutral, but feels good? Isn't that what beauty is? Isn't beauty necessarily emotionally charged? How can beauty be neutral? Beauty is always impulsing people to do things. When people see beauty, they rush towards it. When people experience beauty, they want to save it or protect it. They want to have it all the time. They want to be surrounded by the feeling of beauty. They want to be surrounded by beauty. They want beautiful things. You see a beautiful person, you want to be around that person. Is that neutral? Is it neutral to want to be around a beautiful thing and then not around another beautiful thing? What do you mean it's neutral? Let me introduce you back to yourself. It's neutral on the inside. As in the way you attain beauty is through neutrality. Of course we all want beauty. But what part of the sense of self, as we are reacquainting you with, re-flirting with, unpack one, what part of the sense of self allows you to get more of this beauty, to allow you to feel the beauty? Neutrality. Beauty on the outside world might not be neutral in the sense that it doesn't affect people neutrally, but in order for us to experience and create and feel more beauty in our lives, we on the inside must be neutral. What do you mean on the inside, Herbie? You can't judge people on the inside. What do you mean? Yes, you can. We all have the same architecture on the inside. Look at those bones. Look at those bones. And doesn't it feel so good to know that that's the truth, though? Because we do all share these bones. We do all share the fact that you want to place the weight of the body down the front of the spine and not the back of the spine, the bony, spiny portion of the spine that's meant to house the nerves. Meant to have space between there so that the nerves can move freely or be safe. While still allowing the weight to be transferred somewhere. Where? The front. The weight-bearing portion of the spine, which is the front. And then divide evenly into these rainbow arches and down into the sit bones, which make contact into your sitting surface. So what do you mean we can't judge the body on the inside? Possibly. As in you can't judge someone's own relationship with their self and their body and maybe how it reflects outwardly, but the fact that there is an inside to have a relationship with, a base layer that you have a relationship with, that you can have a relationship with, that you always have a relationship with. Whether or not it's a good relationship is another story, but you always have a relationship with this inside of your body. And we do share some architecture in there, don't we? Otherwise, how could surgery work? How could all these vaccines work? Should we not have some similar architecture, right? We have similar architecture on the inside. Otherwise, medicine doesn't work. You'd have to make a new medicine book for every individual being, because every individual being would have their own architecture. But that's one of the beauties about us having this internal architecture. We just gotta be reacquainted with it. So what do we mean that beauty is neutral? Maybe not neutral on the outside, but for us on the inside, it must be neutral for us to experience this beauty. Why? Because beauty is so attractive. It causes us to move away from where we were. Want to be somewhere where we want to be, right? Beauty is so attractive. It causes us to want to move from where we were into somewhere where we could be, right? That's what beauty does. It's attractive, right? Beauty causes us to move from where we are, want to change to somewhere else where we could be. Normally. But when you introduce the idea of the self, then what is there now? There's now a relationship between this beauty thing. It's not just something that draws people near, but rather you choose to have a relationship with this beauty thing. As in, where do you think it comes from? From your overexcitability? From your attraction to this beauty? How do you experience more of that beauty should you be moving away from that beauty? What if that beauty was only available from you in that spot? And then you move from it. How are you supposed to experience it best? It's like watching a movie theater, or it's like watching a movie. It's so cool, but then like it's so attractive that you keep getting closer to the screen. Eventually, you're just so close to the screen that you can't enjoy the movie anymore. What we don't want to admit in our world today of me, of mine, of I want it now, of consumerism. In our world today, we don't want to believe that you have to stand a certain distance to experience beauty better. That you might have to stand a certain distance to experience beauty in a certain way. You can't just be hugging up on it all the time to love it as much as you think you want to love it. You can't always have it with you to be able to compare. After a while, you get desensitized, right? To even beauty itself. Because were we not looking at beauty as an outward thing and not a relationship with things? Were we not looking at beauty? Weren't we looking at beauty as something that's just sitting out there that we have to look for and discover, and not actually something that we create within ourselves as a relationship with these things? which we surely do. So isn't our relationship with art, isn't our relationship with beauty what allows us to actually experience this beauty? Should you be angry with beauty? Should you be thinking about other moments? Your relationship, just like we know of every relationship, should your attention be split when it should be focused? Having a non-neutral relationship with beauty actually allows you to experience less of this beauty as you're constantly judging the beauty. What did we just say? Said that being neutral with beauty is actually what allows you to experience it more. It's what actually allows you to have it more. Because you have a relationship with this beauty. And like all relationships, they're best not marred with anger and thinking about other moments. Our tendency with beauty is once we get a little bit, we want more of it. We want to be closer to the screen. We want to be able to hold this beauty in our hands. We want to be able to have it for ourselves because we don't feel like we can recreate that feeling again from within when it is not there. So we want to get closer and closer to it. So scared. Beauty looks like neutrality. And is that boring? No. Why? Because beauty is created all the time. How could it be created all the time if it's neutral? Well, because chaos is always happening around us. We live in a chaotic world. What do you mean beauty is neutral so that it's boring? The world itself, the universe itself is never boring. It's never not chaotic. The universe itself is chaotic. So beauty is being created all the time. But is beauty some exploding star out there? How do you know that's beauty? Is beauty some curling leaf out there on a plant outside in the garden? Is that beauty? How do you know? What is beauty? Is beauty this architecture outside? This amazing architecture? Is it some outward physical expression of the world that we look out and we say, yeah, that's beauty. Yeah, that thing right there, that cup that like has these curves on it, and then it has like some glass jutting out of it, and also it has like a weird gold plate at the bottom of that cup. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that thing out there, that's beautiful. Is that beauty? Just these things out there? Just random things? The world itself is so chaotic. So what do you mean beauty itself? What do you mean beauty is neutral? And isn't that boring if beauty was neutral? What do you mean in this chaotic universe we live in, right? Like how could anything be boring? We constantly live in chaos. We constantly live in chaos. This world itself, the universe itself is chaos. How could it ever be? What do you mean it could ever be boring? Even if we were to say that beauty is neutral. In a chaotic world, is there ever any such thing as neutral? So here, on Freedom Fridays, we are positing beauty is neutral. Why? How could beauty be neutral and simultaneously be exciting? How can beauty be neutral, but then you want us to also expect that beauty is exciting? Well, maybe beauty is just the connection that we have with the world, because the world itself is chaotic. The universe itself is chaotic. The universe itself is chaotic. Say it with me. The universe itself is chaotic. Say it with me. The universe itself is chaotic. Is there a shortage of excitement with these balls of fire exploding in the sky all the time? Mismatched timings, the fact that you can hear something at a different time that you see it, like thunder and lightning. The fact that some of these planets are like billions and they're not even there anymore. They're light years away. The fact that we call light years. And the fact that The word light years is a measurement of distance and not time, because it's called light years. The fact that that's a measurement of distance, not time, isn't that freaking crazy? Isn't that chaotic? Isn't that exciting in and of itself? Like, the world that we live in is already confusing. Why do all these things happen? Why do we describe distance with time, like calling light years a distance? Why are all these like crazy absurdities about the world? When I say that beauty is neutral, is it possible for that to not be an exciting thing when the world itself is constantly exciting itself with constant chaos that just doesn't make sense? So when I say beauty is neutral, maybe I'm talking about the human body and the human relationship with itself to be able to experience the chaos of the universe, because it's already chaotic and you are the universe, right? So does that not mean that you are chaotic? So maybe it's all that we can do to just be neutral to be able to even understand the world. Because what can we be? More orderly? Impossible. We're part of this world which is constantly chaotic, right? We don't know what's happening out there. You only know what's within your limited sight right here and your senses right here, but you don't know what's happening out there. Everything else is just a guess. It's chaotic. It's chaotic, right? So isn't beauty neutrality? Wouldn't beauty be neutrality? The ability to see and make connections in this chaotic world where nothing seems to make sense. Giant rocks flying everywhere, zipping and booping and in and out of existence, right? Just like, when did these happen? This Big Bang thing, how did that happen? Just random stuff happening in the sky, random stuff happening in the cosmos, and then suddenly like these flesh-like creatures that can stand upright on 2 feet. What's a feet? What's air? What's oxygen? What's food? They created this stuff by themselves. It's all just random things happening, right? How can we make sense of any of it? And we know that as we know, beauty is making connections. So maybe our ability to make connection is best when we're neutral. So in this chaotic world that is forever chaotic, maybe beauty is in that neutrality. Maybe beauty is in that neutrality. As we ourselves are chaotic beings, maybe our best ability, if we order ourselves to the best of our abilities, order the insides, as in we know everything about ourselves, as in nothing is a mystery to ourselves, as in we know that we can place the weight of the body on the front of our spine and our body will agree, our body will reward us, but with a nice breath, as we remember that we don't sit on our tailbones, but rather onto our sit bones, and our body will reward us with a good breath. It will reward us for ordering our body properly. As in not placing the weight of the body into the tailbone, but rather allowing it to divide into this pelvis bone, following these blue lines into these sit bones. And doesn't your body reward you for ordering yourself like that? But we are also chaotic beings because we don't even see ourselves versions of this. It's all by you looking at other people and faith, the fact that we're similar, the fact that we can do that. But how does it feel to place the weight of the body into the front of the spine? And then asking yourself, are you letting the weight divide into the sit bones? And are you asking yourself, that I don't sit on my legs? Say it with me. I do not sit on my legs. Say it with me. I do not sit on my legs. And so doesn't ordering our inside world like that. Becoming more aware. Allowing our awareness to be placed in the right parts of ourselves. To become more aware of ourselves in the proper ways that will allow us more freedom. Ordering our body. Even if we were to order our body completely, we could never open up our insides and know completely, right? So isn't the idea of ordering our body, the idea of knowing our body completely, isn't that always just reaching as best as we can? The most we'll ever get is non-chaotic, neutral, because we can never know completely. You can never know, look at your own body for sure and say and certain, yes, that is my spine right there, and I should be playing with it. It'd be so easy if you could, but you can't. So isn't the best we can do is get as furthest what we can from ignorance as possible? Get away as from the unknown as possible. Yeah, we might not be able to know for certain. We might not be able to order our inside world completely. But the idea of ordering ourselves completely on the inside world then, because it is necessarily hidden from us, doesn't that mean that the closest we can get is just neutral? As human beings, our best ability is to hold back all of our ignorance as possible. Hold back all judgment as possible. Because we can't even know ourselves, can we? We know that we place the weight of the body down in front of the spine and into the rainbow arches, but we didn't know that by looking at our own bodies. We researched the world, ourselves, other bodies, cadavers, dead bodies, alive bodies, young bodies, old bodies. It took us thousands of years to get to this point. But by the sheer nature of our bodies, we will never completely be able to look completely at our bodies as if they were transparent, right? So there's just a nature of unknown about ourselves. Literally, there's a part of yourself that you cannot know, yet you are forced to interact with all the time. Well, let's get closer to knowing it as close as we can, which might still mean that we're only neutral and not completely orderly. But that might be the best route that we have as human beings, and might be the perfect way to experience beauty. Because what's the best way to experience the world and to understand meaning from the world, which, as we know, creates this feeling of beauty within us, as we're drawing meaning from the world with our amazing human-like, godlike ability in that godlike window of your body, your vessel, you crazy godlike human being, you. Isn't it better to have a neutral body, to be able to experience all that chaos so you can draw as much meaning as possible? As you know, it's much harder to draw free and flexible meaning when you have emotions, or when you are emotionalized, when you are prioritizing emotion as opposed to prioritizing balance and neutrality, to be able to experience the chaos and beauty of the world before it passes you by. Is that not true? Should we not be neutral to experience the chaos of the world in a way that's beautiful? Should we not be neutral to be able to experience the chaos in the world in a way that's beautiful? Say it with me. Say it with me. Shouldn't we order ourselves so that we can experience the chaos of the world in a way that's beautiful? Say it with me. I guess we should have said neutral, right? Let's say neutral. Say it with me. Shouldn't we stay neutral so that we can experience the chaos of the world in a way that's beautiful? Say it with me. Shouldn't we remain neutral to experience the chaos of the world in a way that's beautiful? Say it with me. Shouldn't we remain neutral so that we can experience the world, the chaos of the world, in a way that's beautiful? Remember that you do not sit on your legs. We will be right back. The best feeling network. No nonsense podcast. I'll go on. We'll be right back. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. World peace through individual strength. Waking up the globe in the mornings physically and mentally and spiritually. Feeling better objectively. How's that possible? Well, it's made possible on the Only No Nonsense podcast, brought to you through the best feeling network. Wow. I'm your host, Herbie, and this is Pal Go On. is 6:08, 6:09 a.m. on Friday, Freedom Fridays, July 16, 2021. I want to ask you if you're remembering to allow these words enter one ear and then out the other. As we stretch our self-awareness like a muscle today. You, part of this gigantic world, this collective, but also this collective made up of individuals like you. Shouldn't we remain neutral to experience the chaos of the world in a way that's beautiful? Because how hard is it to feel beautiful when you are not free in the moment? And are you not most free when you have the moment in neutrality? If the moment is not neutral in your head, isn't it hard to be free? Whether you like this moment that you're thinking about in your head, or you hate this moment. The opposite of crazy is still crazy. The actual reduction of crazy is neutrality. As in, even if you are in love with this moment right now that you are thinking about, does that not distract you and sticky you away from the moment that you're currently living in? If you are living in your brain with another moment, you might love that moment. You might absolutely love that moment. It might not be neutral at all. It might be a loving moment to you, the one that you are remembering right now, that you wish this moment could feel like. It might be an amazing memory. It might make you feel so good. But doesn't that mean that you are experiencing this current moment with non-neutrality as you're comparing it to this moment in your head that you're wishing that it was, right? As we are wishing for another time, even if it's a good time, especially if it's a bad time. Aren't you now necessarily not being neutral with the moment that you are in right now? Aren't you restricting yourself from experiencing the beauty that might be all around you right now? That might be in front of you. It might take energy to experience the beauty that's in front of you. It might take attention. Don't you take attention away from that when you're splitting your attention, when you're being non-neutral about the moment? When you're thinking about other moments, doesn't that prevent you from being neutral? Which doesn't that prevent you from feeling free? Isn't the freedom to move into any direction at a given moment's notice, isn't that best from a place of balance? The ability to move in any direction necessary, according to the changing circumstances around you, isn't that best from a place of balance? Or is it easier to move from a place of imbalance for you? Are you a super creature? Are you a non-human? Isn't it easiest to move into any direction from a place of balance? Isn't it easiest to move in any direction from a place of balance? And isn't balance neutrality? So should a moment right now be beautiful and want to move you, literally it wants to move you, would you not be more tempted to move from a place of balance? Would you not be more enticed to move along with this beauty when it wants to move you? Sometimes beauty moves you in subtle ways, but feels like a gigantic tsunami, right? But a subtle initial way. Should you not be ready to move into that subtle initial way, as in you are not in a place of balance? Would you not miss out on that beauty that it might have taken you on? Don't you move easiest from a place of balance? And so when art wants to move you, and art needs you to be easy when it wants to move you, right? As in, when it wants to move you, isn't it easiest to move with it from a place of balance? As in, if we're comparing this moment to another moment, is that a place of balance? Or are we already comparing this moment to create a polarized relationship with this moment? So isn't it harder to move you from this moment? every moment neutral, every memory neutral would be balanced. Be the idea of actually being able to have a memory in the head and be free of that memory and see the beauty in the moment right now. We would think that if you have a traumatic experience, as we all have traumatic experiences, right? As we're waking up and kicking the blanket off of this morning, whatever we're doing. As we all have traumatic experiences, the world might have you think that the way to get over that experience is to look at that experience with hatred and resentment and to never bring that up again. To never bring it up again. But is that freedom? Is it possible to make sure that you never remember that bad memory again? Aren't our memories so intertwined and so networked into this gigantic web of information in our heads that everything's pretty much related at all times? So how could you avoid a memory that hurts you so and still feel free in your life? Are you just going to avoid everything that reminds you of that moment that traumatized you? Well, isn't everything related to one another? Isn't that what we're finding out in our postmodernic country, in our postmodernist world right now? Is that everything, in a way, can be anything. Why? Because the human body, the human being, is the interpreter. And on the inside world, everything can mean anything because nothing can tell you no. You are the ruler. If you want to believe that your hip joints are actually down at your knees, you'll start to feel that. It might not be right. You might start hurting your knees after a while, but your body will adjust to that truth if it wants to. If you feel like you want to, if it feels good, especially. If it feels good, especially. Our bodies are so strong, it just does what it wants, right? Our body just does what it wants. So how are you just going to avoid anything that reminds you of these painful memories, these traumatic memories that we feel are preventing us from feeling free on Freedom Fridays? Are you just going to go throughout life and never think about those things? No. It's a re-perspectivizing on the way that we handle this stress. This stress should not be seen as something we hate, but rather something that we integrate neutrally, without hatred. Truth without hatred, as we know, is love, right? Love is truth without hatred, right? So as we learn about our moments that are traumatic to us, wouldn't freedom look like when they're all neutral? So that when that moment does come, where you are reminded of this traumatic experience, you let it go immediately. Bam, isn't that freedom? Or you can talk about it if you want. Bam. Or if you want, you can just leave it by the way. Or you can talk about it a little bit, and then as soon as you want to talk about something else, boom, you drop it. You're not emotionally attached to this thing. Isn't that freedom? Because you cannot stop the world from reminding you of the scenario. As we are human beings, as we know, our human brains are too smart for that. We're too smart for that. We're too strong. Our brains are too strong for that. Even if we try to tell the world, hey world, don't remind me of this thing, our brain's too strong for that. Everything will remind you of that thing. Even you telling the world to not tell you about that thing will remind you about that thing, because the world would be like, hey, what don't I remind you about? And you'd be like, oh yeah, that thing. Right? So how easy is it to feel beauty in life when you're constantly marred and held down by this idea of like, okay, nothing better remind me of that traumatic experience. I'm going to try to experience the beauty in this world, but nothing better remind me of that one time that nobody else knows about. How are you going to live your life like that? How hard is it to experience beauty? When beauty is about making connections, as you know, so how easy is it going to be to experience beauty when our brains are limited from creating connections, when that is what beauty itself is? So your brain is this almighty being. It's like, hey, boom, I'm going to make you feel so good. Boom, by creating all these connections. Boom, as far as you can see. And it's so great. It's going to make you feel so good. Why? Because you don't even know what's coming. That's why it feels so great. Because I'm going to do these things for you from the inside out, baby. And you're going to be like, wow, that's crazy. I didn't even think about it that way. Boom, wow, that feels so good. Beauty, bah, bam. Part of it is the fact that you don't know what's coming. So if you put limits on it and be like, yeah, you can't go over there because it's going to hurt me too much. Well, your brain can't do the thing that you love your brain for doing, which is going everywhere and creating connections where you wouldn't think. It's like, boom, like friggin' magic. Your brain, your body is just like this super wizard. So super wizard that you even telling it that it cannot go there, it's impossible. But what you can do is affect your relationship for when it does go there. You can't do it. You can't tell it to not go there and still be happy, because that's what you love it for, is going there. That's what we love our brains for, is going there, because it goes places where we would not. Pushes us beyond where we are today, pushes us to a future that we know we could be in the future. Our brains, our souls, our spirits, amazing human body, amazing human godlike creature you, right? So we love it for going there. So should we tell it to not go there? Well, it's going to feel neglected and useless, because what we want it for is going there. You're going to get a shopping cart, tell it to take the wheels off the shopping cart? No. You get a shopping cart, tell it to take the walls off the shopping cart so it's just a flat bed? No. What you like it for is what it is there, is what it's designed to do. So what the brain is designed to do is go far, baby. So you tell it to not go somewhere because it's going to hurt you? Well, I mean, you have this thing. It's going to work for you for a little bit, but it's just not going to make you happy. It's just not the thing that it's used for. So how do we make sure that it can go as far as it can, and we can love it for what it's supposed to do, and we don't make it feel like it's out of a job? Our brain, right? Our soul, its ability to create all these connections. We can't tell it to not create those connections. We can't tell it to, hey, ignore everything that has to do with X. Ignore everything that has to do with tailbones. Well, every time you ask yourself, hey, what was I not supposed to be thinking about? You're going to be like, oh yeah, tailbones. So we can't affect the fact that we're going to have these connections. Our brain's going to make these connections. But what we can do is affect our relationship with these connections. Society would have you think that you should resent these memories. That your connection with these memories should be a negative one. But no. These moments in the world, as we said, right? It can just be neutral. And we have a relationship with these things. And we can affect our relationship with these things. That moment might be scary to you. You might have moments that are traumatic to you. Should we resent them? Doesn't that make it more pointed in our heads to resent something? Isn't true freedom in seeing every moment as neutral? As like, yeah, it happened in life. You know what also happened? I also talked on this podcast. You know what also happened? I grabbed this cup. You know what also happened? I got burned when I was a kid because I put my finger on the stove. You know what's happening? My body right here and now. Your human body here and now. A lot of things happened. Nothing else is happening right now. Just this moment. And then 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 this moment. Relaxing in the moments and being free of the moments. As you cannot control where brains go, because that's what we love them for. Otherwise, they'd never give us any new ideas. We'd be stuck with all the ideas that we started off with. Well, when you started off with a baby, you had no ideas. So what, you have no ideas for the rest of your life? No. What we love about the human brain is that it goes places that we cannot control. So we can't control that. Let go of the wheel. But what we can do is control our reaction to these things. And seeing the beauty in the world, creating meaning, as we know, happens best not from having a reaction to these other moments, but rather being free to sift through them and create connections with other moments. They're all equal. Coming like a line in like the Matrix. All these memories. Some good, some bad, but they're all neutral. Why is that great? To create beauty. Why? Because beauty is connections, right? As we know. So, it's so much easier to create connections when they're all equal. Yeah, this moment sucked, but also this other moment that was great, that looked very similar. You wouldn't be able to think about that if you're all angry, but if you're neutral, you can think about, wow, I see similarities there. Bam, bam. Create similarity. These two moments, good and bad. Wow, look, humor. Beautiful. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Isn't the true way to deal with traumatic experiences, isn't it to neutralize it so that it becomes equal like every other memory? Not to resent these moments, but to rather organize and order all these moments to be the same. Isn't that true freedom? So that you can experience the beauty of today and make connections in today. Isn't that true freedom? Seeing every moment as equal. Seeing this moment as the only real moment and seeing all other moments as equal. Isn't that true neutrality, away from trauma? You might be sad because you're like, oh, well, these other moments are better than those other moments. So I want to think about them more. Are they? Didn't these low points in your life build you? Shouldn't we see our memories in more neutralities to be able to get rid of this trauma, to feel more free? Isn't that true? Shouldn't we see every moment as neutral to feel free? We'll take one last break. Shouldn't we see every moment as neutral to feel as free as possible, to create connection and beauty, baby? We'll be right back. using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. World peace through individual strength. Waking the globe up physically, mentally, spiritually, and then physically again to feel good, objectively. What does that mean? Well, you find out on the No Nonsense podcast brought to you through the only Best Feeling Network. I'm your host, Herbie, and this is Pal Go On. 6:26 a.m. on Friday, July 16, 2021. Are you feeling the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all of the times? Remembering to allow these words enter in one ear and out the other and observe how your sense of self feels. This neutrality thing, man. But shouldn't we see every moment as neutral if we are to experience as beauty? To deal. Even just to deal with the trauma. Because the opposite of crazy is crazy, right? As we know, the opposite of crazy is still crazy. So isn't true freedom to experience beauty? Isn't that in seeing all moments as neutral? So that you can create meaning. As it's hard to draw meaning from your gigantic plethora. You've got a myriad of, you've got a truckload. You've got like infinity memories from your life. And you can draw and make connections from infinity things. But it's harder to draw connections from infinity things when there are certain things that are more obvious in your head, and that becomes something that happens when we begin to resent trauma or obsess over moments where it felt good once, but they are not this moment, right? As you know, beauty is meaning. And meaning itself is this 3D experience, the same way that your relationship with your body is this 3D experience, right? Meaning and beauty. Maybe the beauty that's happening outside, maybe the events that create a feeling of beauty inside of us when we establish connection with those events outside, maybe those things are always happening on the outside. Maybe those things are always happening on the outside. But our reaction to those things, us drawing connections between those things and things that we have on the inside, our ideas on the inside, what creates this meaning, it's what creates this beauty. So it's easiest to create connections from a neutral standing point in which you can look at all the data, or an emotional standpoint in which some of the data is more important to you. Well, as we know, all the data is summing up to be the same thing, right? So we can't control what's going on out there. We cannot control what's going on out there in the outside world. We cannot control, I want these amount of lights in front of me. I want these amount of beautiful people in front of me. I want the sky to look like this. I want the computer screen to be this big. I want the flower to look like that. We can't control those things outside, in those outside worlds. I want this moment to be just like the other moment. I wish that I looked a different age. I wish that we were different people with each other. I wish that we treated each other differently. I wish. We can't control what's out there to establish things that like, oh, I want beauty out there so that I can feel this beauty all the time. But we can be here and now and be like a meaning. Because what is a meaning? What is meaning? It's beauty. And if beauty is meaning, well, what's meaning? Well, isn't meaning this 3D object thing that's hard to describe? Isn't that why it takes many, many sentences to describe one meaning? Isn't our body kind of like a meaning? In the sense that it has all these different rules to it, but very hard to describe, yet it's just very simple. It's just there and then. It's just a body. It's just sitting there. It's just sitting there. And yet, not just sitting there, made of all these different parts, and can do all these different things to be in the moment. So to feel beauty. To feel beauty. Isn't it best to be neutral? Because we cannot control what's going on out there, but what we can do is control our expectations on the inside. We can control our expectations on the inside so that we are neutral towards this beauty. We can manage our expectations on the inside so that when this beauty, when these things do happen around us, as we know, it's not those individual things that are happening around us, but rather the connections that our amazing bodies are making. These amazing 3D bodies. Your body is like a meaning. Many words to describe this meaning. How hard is it to describe your posture right now? How hard is it to describe your body language right now? How hard is it to describe your body's organization with itself right now? How hard is it to describe your body's organization and alignment with itself right now? How hard is it to describe those things? Yet how easy is it to feel? The meaning of all of it can be felt very instantly. I'm uncomfortable versus I'm uncomfortable, right? A good breath versus a bad breath. This inhalation was better than the last inhalation. That exhalation was better than the last exhalation. Or rather, even not comparing it. This inhalation feels good versus this exhalation feels good. Versus this inhalation feels bad and this exhalation feels bad. We're able to establish all those crazy meanings. Although describing what's going on in the body might be very, 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 very difficult. But this meaning strikes us instantly. As us human beings, we look at the world through meaning, as in our body, right? Our body is like a meaning. Our body's always like a meaning, as in like, how is your body right now? Well, my left shoulder is higher than my right, and my chest is kind of popped out, and, I feel my weight being delivered down the back of my spine, which is wrong. I feel my weight being delivered into my tailbones, that's wrong. It takes so long to say those things outwardly, right? Into this physical world we live in. It's so hard to communicate that to other people. It takes so many words, but the meaning is so instant. It feels good or it feels bad. And beauty is kind of like that, right? This beauty thing is kind of sort of like that. So instant. So 3D. So 3D, our body's like meaning, right? So isn't the best place to establish meaning from a place of neutrality, a place of balance, so that when art or anything like in the world does move you, you are so quick to move, so agile to move and experience that beauty where it is there and then. Human bodies are this meaning thing, right? Our human bodies are this meaning thing, right? Our human bodies have this meaning. As in so hard to describe our body language, but it is just there and then. It's so easy to understand from the inside out, right? So what is the easiest place to establish meaning from? A place of resentment? A place of pointed emotionalism where certain moments are now much more glaringly obvious than other moments? As we know that beauty is connections, is it easier to make connections when you're in a place of neutrality? So maybe beauty itself is not neutral. Maybe even the way it makes us feel is not neutral. But for us to get the most out of beauty and to stay with it, and for us to have it stay with us all the time, our relationship with every new moment should be neutral. so that we can get as much beauty as we can, because beauty comes from those connections being made, and connections being made happens best when you are neutral. Every new moment you should be neutral too. Feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine. And doesn't that make you feel so good? It's so neutral to feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all the times. As in, this is part of your design. This is part of you. This is you becoming more self-aware of you. Stretching our self-awareness like a muscle as we are. You asking yourself, are you feeling the front of your shins? And then you're remembering that you do not sit on your legs. Beauty is truly in the eye of the beholder, is it not? Is it not? So is there anything more in the moment than in your body? From within. From within. Can't you feel so good and feel more beauty in the world? As you're being more in the moment with that 3D body of yours. Want to feel that 3D meaning of life, right? Well, doesn't that happen in that 3D body of yours? More so ever in that 3D experience where you have the full vantage, the full 3D experience of yourself, not marred by resentment, not marred by anything else, but here in the moment. And isn't that your superpower to spread your awareness there? Feeling so great in that body of yours, your morning would feel so good on Pal Go On. I'm your host, guys. Herbie, good morning. Every moment should be neutral so that you can feel beautiful evermore, forevermore. I hope you have a fantastic day feeling the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all the times. In one ear and out the other, guys. Your only no nonsense podcast brought to you through the Best Feeling Network. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you on Monday, guys. My name is Herbie, and this is Pal Go On. Have a fantastic one. Love you guys. Beautiful creature, you have a great day.